Tonight on the Pioneer Sideline, we have men's and women's basketball coverage as they continue KIAC play. Then we dive into regional and national sports coverage, and we have a chance to catch up with the new track and field coach too. And as always, we finish up with the case of the week. All that and more as we head on down to the Pioneer Sideline. Welcome to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Chris Hoffman. The women's basketball team has been one of the best in the NAIA this year, and Johnie Freiwald now joins me to tell us if the Pioneers could stay on the right track.
Thank you, Chris. The Pioneers are back at it. Since our last broadcast, the women's basketball team won 6 more games. They started out this competitive 2-week stretch by beating the crosstown Carlos Celtics with a score of 74-45. The last game played by the Pioneers was against St. Louis COP with a score of 76-61, bringing their record to 23 wins and 2 losses. This stat sets a team record for wins in a regular season. This winning record also secures the girls at number 2 for wins in the NAIA Division II. The girls can look forward to a bit of a break this week with only one matchup in the next 7 days. The Pioneers will play at IU Southeast at home on Saturday. This will be the second time that these teams meet this season, and I am sure that we will see some heated action. When these teams met back at the beginning of January, Point Park defeated IU Southeast by just 2 points.
Now, Johnny, you see the Pioneers there. They've won 6 straight games, all of these in conference. They're really starting to get a groove here in KIAC play. What does that do for this team as they come toward the KIAC tournament in just a few weeks?
You know, it's a huge confidence builder as they play these teams that are in their district, in their division, and are so high in the record that even their hardest team they've played this year, Berea, has had more losses than they have.
Now you look at this also, John, you also see they play Carlo. That's coming up in a couple weeks here. How big of a crosstown rivalry is that? Because that's a team the Pioneers used to see much more when they're in the AMC conference as well.
Well, you know, Chris, in these last 2 weeks, they have already just played them, and they beat them by quite a significant gap. So I don't think they're too worried to play them again, but it might be a little bit of a fun challenge.
And real quick here, John, you see the Pioneers once again, they've continued rolling. They're up to the most wins ever, 23. They're just cruising along, setting records by the dozens this season. What type of potential do you see this team having? They've been bounced in the first round the last couple years in the national tournament, but they're now looking to go even further. Do you think they can really make a deep run potentially?
You know, I think they can make a deep run through the rest of this season and into the post, but also for future seasons to come with the fact that most of these players are freshmen and setting records.
All right, thanks, Johnny. Football may be over in the Pittsburgh area, but there are plenty of other sports going on during the winter season. Kelsie Metzgar now joins me with this week's Regional Sports Report.
Thanks, Chris. Pitt's men's basketball is hanging on in the top 25 basketball poll. The Panthers now ranked 25th in the new AP poll that was released Monday. These rankings came out just after Pitt suffered consecutive losses for the first time this season, losing 3 of their past 5 games. The Panthers look to get back on track after starting the season winning 16 of their first 17 games. And before the Super Bowl took place this past weekend, Steeler fans were disappointed to see the bus looked over again. Former Steelers running back Jerome Bettis missed the cut for the Pro Football Hall of Fame for the 4th straight year. Bettis is number 6 on the NFL's top rushing list with over 13,000 yards. He has 1 Super Bowl ring, and he's been nominated for 6 Pro Bowls over the course of his career. He will be eligible for the nomination again next year. A.J. Burnett is planning to pitch again in 2014, but it might not be with the Pirates like he originally promised Buck fans. When last season came to an end, Burnett said he would pitch for Pittsburgh or not pitch at all. The Pirates have yet to rule him out to return. However, other teams have begun to show interest. Pirates president Frank Coonley said they would love to have AJ back, but right now the Bucks have to turn the page and head to Florida, expecting him not to be back at all. And the Pens continued their dominance in the NHL, leading the Eastern Conference with 80 points. They had an impressive wins against Montreal and Los Angeles, but struggled recently against teams that aren't even in playoff contention like Florida and Dallas. Most recently, Neal scored the winning overtime goal to put the Pens past the Senators. During this game, Fleury stopped 24 shots for his league-leading 30th win of the season. And before the Olympic break, the Pens will see the Sabres and the Rangers. But that's all I have for your regional sports report. Let's send it back over to Chris.
Now, Kelsie, you look at it, A.J. Burnett, that's really a big question because he's been a key cog in the Pirates lineup the last couple seasons. He's a real innings eater, can strike people out. How big is it if the Pirates cannot really get him back?
I think it's going to be a struggle for them at first, but their supporting staff's pretty strong. Pitching was their strong point last year, so hopefully they can find someone to fill AJ's spot. He is getting older. We don't know if he would have as big of production this year as he had last year.
All right, thanks, Kelsie. After the break, Zach Aaron will join me with men's basketball, and I'll have this week's National Sports Report. You're watching the Pioneer Sideline here on UView.